Hello everyone. So we shall be discussing the first chapter, that is fundamentals of logic. So here in this particular module we'll be going into detail its deep discussion on propositions, what is this particular subject deals with, along with different kinds of laws of logic, and we shall be solving certain problems related to logic. So I am Professor Archana Priyadarshini, Department of ISC, CEC. So I'll be introducing all the contents listed in the index in the following module. So in these presentations, let's look about what is a proposition along with certain example problems, and also let's see what are the different kinds of logical connectives, and let's solve certain problems related to them. So here, before discussing about what is meant by proposition and the various problems that help us to understand what is proposition, let's see about what exactly is a statement, because this concept is required in order to understand a proposition. So statement as such is a declarative sentence, so which is either true or false. So statement is a declarative sentence which is either true or false, and the statement can be either atomic or it can be continuous. So we have got different sections in sentences. So the sentences may be declarative kind of sentence, sentences may be exclamatory, or it may be imperative or interrogative or open sentence. So what exactly is a declarative sentence? So declarative sentence means declarations, or it can be said as a complete sentence which is true by all means, true or false by all means. That means when a sentence is given, it is complete, and anybody can declare the truth value to be the same. That is, if I declare the truth value of the sentence to be true, everybody declares it to be true. That means it is general. Everybody agrees that this truth value is true. So that is meant by a declarative sentence. So coming to the second kind of sentence, that is exclamatory. So here it gives a kind of exclamation, or it gives a kind of surprise to the statement. So for example, I can say, wow, it's a nice car. How about you today? So all these kind of things are comes under exclamatory sentence, some kind of surprise or astonishment. So that is meant by exclamation. So third kind of sentence is imperative. So imperative means it may be an order, or it may be a kind of request, or it may be a command. So let me give me an example for imperative statement. Get out of the class. So it's like a command. Another example which I want to state is, please help me in your work. That also is a kind of a request which comes under imperative sentence. The next section is interrogative. Interrogative means it's a kind of question. So you are asking something. So let's say, do you like coffee? Are you ready to come to the party? So all these sentences are coming under interrogative kind of sentence. And finally, we have got an open sentence. Open sentence means the truth value cannot be decided, and the truth value varies from person to person. So it's like a general statement is given. For example, if I say, she is the best actor, or Shah Rukh Khan is the best actor. Do everybody agree with this? I know it's a kind of declarative statement, correct? Right? It's a declarative statement, gives a definite statement. And once it is a definite statement, we can decide the truth value, whether it's true or false. So, okay, Shah Rukh Khan is an actor. I can say it belongs to a declarative sentence, correct? So that is it. It is a statement and it is declarative. It is a correct statement. And then once it is a statement, we can say it is true or false. Okay, everybody agrees with the Shah Rukh Khan is an actor. So it is a declarative statement. It is true for all, for every person. So, for example, if I change this statement to Shah Rukh Khan is the best actor. So, this is like an open sentence. That means the truth value may vary from person to person. If I agree Shah Rukh Khan is the best actor, anybody else may find somebody else to be the best actor. So, it's like the truth value is varying. So, this comes under open sentence. So I hope all these different kinds of sentences are clear. So once these kind of sections under sentences are clear, we can say that statement belongs to a declarative sentence which is either true or false. And once we know what is a statement, we can move into the next section, that is proposition. So why we have discussed all these kind of different sentences is will come to know what are the different kinds of sentences, and from these what is a statement, and from statement we can decide what is a proposition. So declarative is a statement which is a definite statement. It's a definite sentence and we can decide and anybody can decide the truth value of this particular sentence. The second kind of section is exclamatory. It's a kind of exclamation or a surprise or an astonishment. Third kind of sentence is imperative sentence. So it is a kind of order or a request or it is a command kind of sentence. Fourth is interrogative, or I can say it's a questionary statement. You're asking something. So let me say, if I have the example as please give me a coffee or please give me a tea or please lend me a book. So all these comes under imperative. It's a kind of request. So if I say very nice day, wow, very nice day. So this is a surprise, right? And it comes under exclamatory. And if I have got something like do you like tea? So this is like a kind of question. You are asking something. You are asking the response of something, right? So it's a kind of questionary sentence, and it belongs to an interrogative sentence. And finally, I am defining the difference between a declarative as well as open sentence. So declarative is like you have a general statement or general sentence, and everybody agrees with the truth value of that sentence to be true, or everybody decides with the truth value to be false. Whereas in an open sentence, it is a statement or it is a sentence wherein we cannot decide the truth value. So the truth value may vary from person to person. So this is all about different kinds of sentences, and from this we can decide what is the statement, and from the statement we can say what is meant by a proposition. So in the previous slide we have gone through what is a statement, what is a sentence, right? So here we are listing some of the examples and checking whether it's possible to decide if it's a statement, and if it's a statement, what will be the truth value. So given the question, that is, you are supposed to find out which of the following are statements. So first option told here is that a sun is a star. So first of all we need to decide whether this is a statement or not. Is it a statement sun is a star. Is it a statement? Yes, it's a statement. But once it is a statement, we need to decide whether it's a declarative statement. Yes, obviously, a statement is a declarative statement. So we have agreed that this is a statement, and now we can judge the truth value of this particular statement. The sun is a star. Is it true or false? The truth value is true, which everybody knows it, right? Everybody agrees with it. So it's a kind of declarative statement, and the truth value is true, and it does not vary from person to person. It is the same. So the next question asked is, please help me. So what kind of sentence is this? So it's a kind of request. So request, this belongs to a kind of imperative statement or imperative sentence. And is this a statement? First of all, please help me. No. A statement, what is the definition of a statement? The statement is only a declarative statement sentence which is either true or false, right? But this belongs to an imperative. It's a kind of request. Imperative sentence. It's not a declarative sentence or declarative sentence. So it is obviously not a statement, and we can not define the truth value of this. We cannot define the truth value of this sentence. So I hope these examples are clear to you. So after having studied what is a statement and why we have taken this particular subject and what is it actually about studying the logic. So next, moving on to propositions. So first of all, before going in depth the examples, let's say what exactly a proposition is. So proposition is a statement or can be called as a declaration which in a given context can be said to be either true or false but not both. So a proposition is nothing but a statement or a declaration which in a given context can be said to be either true or false but not both. So let's say we have taken these three examples. That is, first one is Bangalore is in Karnataka. The second one is 3 is a prime number, and third, take a triangle ABC. Among these, let's check out what is meant by proposition and whether all these three are propositions or not. So in the first example, it seems to be a statement, right? Yes. So Bangalore is in Karnataka is a declarative sentence. So therefore it is a statement. And so we can judge the truth value of this particular statement. So henceforth this statement serves the truth value as true in every case, right? So coming to the second example. So before saying about this, before moving on to second example, the first example, since it is a statement, and we can say that this is also proposition. Why? Because proposition is a statement, that is a declarative statement, and we have already seen that this is a declarative statement, right? And hence we can judge it to be true or false, but not both, right? So that is what is a proposition. So here we can say guaranteedly that the truth value of this statement is true always. Therefore, it is a proposition. So coming to the second example, 3 is a prime number. So is this a statement? Yes, this is a statement. So what about deciding whether it's a proposition or not? This is a statement, and so we can judge the truth value. So we have to say that we have to think over whether it is a proposition. Yes, it is a proposition since it is a declarative statement, and we can judge the truth value because we cannot. It is guaranteedly possible to say that the truth value of this second statement is true, right? This is true in every cases. So hence this is a proposition. So coming to the third example, take a triangle ABC. whether or not it is a proposition. So first of all, before deciding whether it's a proposition, we have to decide whether it is a statement. So is it a statement? Take a triangle ABC. So it's like a command. You order something, you have to consider that triangle ABC, right? So this is obviously it is not at all a statement. So it's like a command, right? So it's an imperative statement. As we have seen in the previous slides, what is meant by imperative statement, sentence, right? So since it's an imperative sentence and it is not a declarative sentence, we can confirm that this is not at all a statement. And hence, we cannot judge the truth value. And since it is not a statement, we can say guaranteedly that this is not at all a proposition. So I hope this entire examples give you a clear idea as to which statement is a proposition and which statement is not a proposition. So before moving on further, so how exactly we declare a proposition is we denote a proposition by just small letters like let's say P, small letter Q, small letter R or small letter S and so on. So we use basically a small alphabets to denote the proposition. And what is meant by truth value is the truth or the falsity of a proposition is called a truth value. So the truth of the statement or the falsity of a proposition is called a truth value. So if the proposition is true, we will denote it by symbol 1, right? And if it is false, we denote it by symbol 0. So I hope this entire discussion of propositions is clear to you. So next, moving on to the next topic, that is logical connectives. So first, before telling which and all are the different logical connectives, let's see what exactly is logical connectives. So we will be having certain statements, and those statements, if they are simple statements, that means which do not have any logical connectives. Like for example, we have an example here, today is a good day. So we do not have any one of these logical connectives listed here, right? We do not have either not or and or if then or if and only if. So these are the logical connectives listed. We do not have any of these logical connectives in the first example, correct? That is, we do not have not or and or, if then, if and only if. All these words are not there in the first example. Today is a good day. It is just simple without any logical connectives. So those propositions which do not contain any logical connectives are called simple propositions. So the first example is a kind of a simple proposition. It is called a simple proposition because it does not contain any logical connectives. So next, moving on to what is meant by primitive and what is meant by compound proposition. So if we are using the connectives here, we are using the connectives and we are getting a newer proposition. So this proposition is called a compound proposition. So if for example, I'll say you one more example, that is, today is a good day and rose is red in color. So what I'm using here is I'm combining two different statements, two different examples with the help of a connective called and. So we get a new proposition, right? So this new proposition obtained by using certain connectives, they are called as a compound proposition. So next is I'll be telling you about primitives. What are primitives or what is meant by a component? So if the original propositions from which the compound propositions are obtained is called as component or primitives of the compound propositions. So the original proposition, which is the original proposition I'm using here? Today is a good day, right? This original proposition from which the compound proposition is obtained. Which is the compound proposition? Today is a good day, and then rose is red in color, which is these two examples are combined with the logical connective and, right? So these original propositions, that is today is a good day and excluding and, you have to exclude the logical connectives. See, these two examples, they are nothing but primitives, they are basic, and we are using these two examples to connect, that is to form the compound propositions, right? So these two examples, they serve as a base for which we form the compound proposition using certain connectives, right? So these two examples are called as primitives. So using these primitives, we are combining these two primitives with the help of logical connective, and then forming what is called as a newer proposition, and that is nothing but your compound proposition. So I hope this what is meant by primitive, compound proposition, simple proposition is clear to you. So now moving on to the broader topic, that is logical connective. So I hope all these terms are clear to you. So defining something that is logical connective will be much more easier to you. So logical connective is nothing but the new propositions which are obtained by starting with the given proposition and with the help of the words like not, and, if then, and if and only if. So such words or phrases are called logical connectives. So let me repeat what is meant by logical connectives. So we get a new proposition, right, with the help of these logical connectives, correct? So in the previous example I've told you today is a good day and rose is red in color. That means I am using one connective, that is and I am combining two primitives, right? Primitives means they are original proposition. Two primitives and getting a new proposition which is nothing but a compound proposition, right? And so in this particular scenario we are getting a new proposition, right? How do we get a new proposition? By combining phrases like all these not, and, or, if then, if and only if. So these words, that is not, and, or, if then, if and only if, these words, these terms are called as logical connectives. So when stating what is a logical connective, you cannot directly say not, and, or, if then, if and only if are logical connectives. We cannot say like that. How we have to state is we are getting a new proposition from the original proposition with the help of these words or phrases, that is not, and, if, then, if and only if, and such words or phrases are called as logical connectives. This is how you must give the definition of logical connectives. So we have basically these five connectives, that is negation, that's also called as not, and just observe the symbol that we are using. We are using a title symbol or a negation kind of symbol. We can use either of these two. So negation or not, that is the first logical connective. So in the coming slide we'll be discussing in detail all these connectives. So briefly, these are the five connectives we are going to use in this particular module. So second logical connective is conjunction, that is and see the symbol that you're using. We are using a upside down V and then and. So we can use any one of these. So most probably we are using the upside down V symbol for conjunction. And the third logical connective is disjunction, or it is called as or symbol, or it is V symbol. So the fourth logical connective is material implication, or it means implies. If it is so and then this is the thing. So it's like a reason. If this is the reason, then this is the cause. If then this is the cause. It's like that. So if and then kind of words or the phrases. And the last logical connective is biconditional. So in this logical connective, we are going to use if and only if terms in the statements. And the symbol that we use is double arrow. for biconditional, whereas for conditional or material implication we are using a single-sided arrow in our examples. So in the next slides let's see about how we can elaborate all these kind of logical connectives in detail. So coming to the first logical connective, that is negation. So what is negation of a given proposition? So a proposition obtained by inserting the word not at an appropriate place in the given proposition is called as negation. I repeat, a proposition obtained by inserting the word not at an appropriate place in a given proposition is called negation. And how do we denote this negation is by the symbol negation P. We call it as negation P, or we say it as not P. So where P stands for a particular proposition. And let's say see here we see the truth table for negation. So this will give you the truth or falsity of a particular proposition. So let's say P is a proposition, the negation of it is denoted by negation P. And first we list out all the possible combinations of this. So first of all, the proposition may be true or the proposition may be false. So if the proposition is true, negation P will say you that the proposition is false. And if the proposition false, negation P will say that the proposition is true. That means it is negating a particular proposition. So this is the truth table representing the truth values. So let's say we denote a proposition P as it is raining. So how do we say negation P? We say it as it is not raining. We use the connective not while writing the proposition. So P, if it says it is raining, negation P will say you it is not raining. So next connective is conjunction. So this is nothing but we are using a connective called and. So what exactly is this conjunction? A compound proposition. So that is we are combining two different propositions, that is using a connective and. So we call it as a compound proposition. So what is a conjunction is a compound proposition obtained by combining two given propositions by inserting the word and in between them. So this is called as a conjunction. So that is we get a compound proposition. How do we get a compound proposition? By combining two given propositions by using the connective or by inserting the word and in between them. So this is called as conjunction. So let's see the truth table for this conjunction. So we have a conjunction denotion as upside down V. So it is if we have got two propositions A and B, we denote the conjunction by A conjunction B. We say it as A conjunction B. So that A and B denote the possible truth values of the with different combination. That is, if A has got true and B will have got true, then true false, false true, false false. So these are the possible truth values for two propositions A and B. So that is if proposition A is true, proposition B is true, what will be the conjunction of A conjunction B? That is, if both are true, this and symbol or conjunction will give you true, else it gives you false. So this conjunction will have the truth value as true only if the truth value of both the propositions A and B are true, else the truth value is false. So let's say we have taken this example over here, that is P proposition says all triangles are equilateral and proposition Q says 2 plus 5 equals 7. So what will be P conjunction Q? P conjunction Q means it denotes the conjunction, or we are using the word and to combine these two propositions into compound propositions, right? So P conjunction Q will have the final statement as all triangles are equilateral and 2 plus 5 equals 7. So this is how we get the conjunction statement. So moving on to the next, disjunction, or it is called as or we say it as inclusive or. That means to include if even if one proposition says true. Even if one proposition says true, the final truth value of A disjunction B will be true, else it is false. So that is, the truth value of the final proposition is true if any one of A or B are having truth values true, else it is false. So what is disjunction? A compound propositions obtained by combining two given propositions by inserting the word or in between them is called disjunction. So here we have got a truth table which says what are the possible values of A and B. We say if A is true, B is true. If A is true, B is false, B can be false. A can be false and B can be true. A can be false, B can be false. Both can be false. So these are the possible combinations taking the two propositions A and B. And what will be the final result of A disjunction B? So disjunction symbol is B symbol. So if both are having truth values true, the A or B will have true. If one of the proposition has having truth value true, A or B will be true. And if both the propositions are having truth values false, A disjunction B will be false. So the disjunction A or B will be false only when A is false and B is also false. In all other cases we get it as true. So we have taken an example here. Two propositions, P stating that 9 is a number, prime number, and another proposition Q is saying 2 plus 5 equals 7. So how do we say P or Q? The P disjunction Q will be 9 is a prime number or 2 plus 5 equals 7. So that is, we are using the connective or to combine two statements into a compound propositions. That's why we define this logical connective as a compound proposition obtained by combining two given propositions using the word or. So the same thing we have depicted in this example, right? We have taken two different propositions P and Q here, and we are combining these two with the help of connective or, and therefore it is a compound proposition. That's what is a definition. A compound proposition obtained by combining two given propositions by inserting the word or in between them is called disjunction. So here let's see about material implication, or it is called as conditional. It is a kind of P implies Q form. P one-sided arrow and Q. Let's take two propositions P and Q. The conditional of it is denoted by P implies Q, or it is called as if and then. If P, then Q. So we have the designed a truth table for it. The truth table is like, if P is true, Q is false, then the resultant of P implies Q turns to be false, else it is true always. So if the truth table contains all possible truth values of the two propositions P and Q, so P implies Q will be false only if P is true and Q is false. Rest we have the truth values as true. So taken two propositions, P is set here as 2 is a prime number, and for proposition Q we have the statement 9 is a multiple of 6. So what would be P implies Q? So P implies Q would take the statement, if 2 is a prime number, then 9 is a multiple of 6. So we are using if and then clause. So if represents like a cause. If it is so, then this is the result. So cause and effect form is taken by this conditional or material implication. So in the previous slide you have seen what is a conditional and the truth table of conditional. along with one example where it states two propositions, and the first proposition P is 2 is a prime number, second proposition Q is 9 is a multiple of 6, right? So how could this be written? There are different ways of writing this implication, and there are different ways of interpreting this implication. So here listed below we have these statements which are equivalent to implication symbol. So the first statement is if P then Q. So this implies or implication symbol, that is one arrow, can be written in statement as if P then Q. That is, we can I will tell you how the previous example of two propositions given in the previous slide could be written in these many ways. So you know proposition P stated was 2 is a prime number, right? And proposition Q is 9 is a multiple of 6. So I can write this in these many ways. That is, I can write it as if 2 is a prime number, then 9 is a multiple of 6. Or I could write this as 9 is a multiple of 6 if 2 is a prime number, as well as all of these statements are same, which gives the same meaning. So I'll express this implies in these many forms. Okay. So coming to the third one, that is, I can write the example as 2 is a prime number only if 9 is a multiple of 6. So I'm using the third line over here, third synonym. Coming to the fourth synonym, 2. 2 is a prime number implies 9 is a multiple of 6. The next one, fifth one, 2 is a prime number is sufficient for 9 is a multiple of 6. Coming to the last part one, 9 is a multiple of 6 is necessary for 2 is a prime number. And the last one, that is 9 is a multiple of 6 follows from 2 is a prime number. So I know what is proposition P, I know what is proposition Q as per the previous slide. So I have expressed those examples in these many ways. That is, these many same meaning, it gives the same meaning of implication, but it is represented in different ways listed here. Okay, I hope this example gives you the different ways of interpreting and writing the implication form. I think it is very clear to you. So given two propositions here, proposition P states Alice is smart and proposition Q, Alice is honest. So P implies Q could be written as that Alice is smart is sufficient for Alice to be honest. That is, we have used here in the previous slide, we have seen several different ways of expressing implies, right? So either we can write P is sufficient for Q, or Q is necessary for P. So you have seen that. You know what is P and what is Q here. You can write this in different ways. That is, we can have that Alice is smart is sufficient for Alice to be honest. Or we can write it equivalently as Alice is honest if Alice is smart. That is, we have used a second kind of similar way of representation, wherein Q is Alice is honest and P is Alice is smart. Q if P. Okay, in the last kind of state. So let's see the next connective, that is biconditional. So it is the conjunction of conditionals. P implies Q and Q implies P, and this is also represented as P if and only if Q. We see the symbol double arrow in the truth table. So double arrow represents biconditional. So here we have taken two propositions P and Q. They have represented all possible combination of truth values in this table, and we have represented P biconditional Q. So see here the truth values. So if P is true and Q is true, we get it as true. And you can observe that one important point in this biconditional logical connective is if P is true or Q is true, we get it as false. Rest it is true. That is, if any 1 is true, especially if one is true and the other is false, or if one is false and other is true, the result is false, else we get it as true. So it is read as P if and only if Q. So if P then Q, and if Q then P. So here we observe we have got two propositions P and Q. 2 is a prime number and 3 is a prime number. So how do we read this P if and only if Q is, if 2 is a prime number, then 3 is a prime number, and if 3 is a prime number, then 2 is a prime number. Or we can also say it as 2 is a prime number if and only if 3 is a prime number. So that will be the resultant of P by conditional Q. So you can represent this as the conjunction of the conditionals, like you can represent this as 2 is a prime number, and if 2 is a prime number then 3 is a prime number, and if 3 is a prime number then 2 is a prime number, like that. Or else you can represent this as P if and only if Q. 2 is a prime number if and only if 3 is a prime number. So here let's look into the last connective, it is exclusive disjunction. So it is also read as either P or Q, but not both. That is, when either P is true, the result is true. When either Q is true, the result is true. Else, the final result is false. You can observe from the truth table that we have designed. For any two propositions taken P and Q, we have the following set of possible combinations: true, 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 false, false, true, and false, false. So this is the first thing that we need to design. All possible combinations for the given two propositions here, P and Q. And irrespective of with respect to that, we are going to find out what is P XOR Q. We read it as P XOR Q, or P exclusive or Q. And the symbol is, you have a V symbol and below that we have a line. So this is the symbol for exclusive or exclusive disjunction. So this exclusive OR is nothing but it is taken to be the compound proposition P exclusive OR is taken to be true only when either P is true or Q is true, but not both. So this is what is exclusive OR. And we have taken an example over here. You can observe P is taken to be proposition stating 9 is a prime number, and we have another proposition Q stating that 2 plus 3 equals 5. So what will be P XOR Q? P XOR Q as such is read as either P or Q, but not both. So it is read as P XOR Q will be either 9 is a prime number or 2 plus 3 equals to 5, but not both. That is what is the final value of P XOR Q. And you can observe in the Venn diagram here. So either P is shaded and or Q is shaded. You can observe the intersection is not shaded. It is very clear that either P, if it becomes true, or if either Q becomes true, then the final result is true. So summarizing, we have observed so many connectives, logical connectives. We have observed conjunction, we have observed disjunction, or it is also called as inclusive or P or Q. And then next we have implication or material condition. P implies Q, and it is also called as if then. And then we have biconditional, or it is if and only if. We say it as if and only if. P if and only if Q. So this is the implication. And then P XOR Q, or it is also called as either P or Q, but not both. And then last two, we see these connectives in the following slides. I'll be explaining in detail about these connectives. The upper arrow stating it's a kind of NAND connective, and down below arrow is an OR connective. So forgetting these two last rows, NAND and OR connectives, this is the summarized table. So first of all, we need to design the truth values for the given proposition. So here I am taking those two propositions P and Q. So we have the possible combinations as false, false. Proposition P can be false, proposition Q can be false, proposition P can be false, Q can be true, P can be true, Q can be false, and both propositions P and Q can be true and simultaneously. So this is the first possible set of combinations for the given two propositions. So based on this table, you're going to construct the connectives. That is, what will be the value of P conjunction Q? What is the value of P disjunction Q? What is the value of P implication Q? What is the value of P biconditional Q? What is the value of P XOR Q? Right? So we can see that for conjunction to be true, both the propositions has to be true. If both the propositions are true, then we get P and Q as true. And for disjunction or inclusive or P or Q, P or Q will be true if either P is true or Q is true or both of them is true. Okay, the reverse of this is XOR. So in inclusive or in disjunction, we are not taking both of them to be, we are in inclusive or we are taking both of them to be true, right? Or is true when either one of the proposition is true or the other proposition is true or both of them is true. The or symbol is or connective turns to be true, right? But for exclusive or, the P XOR Q will be true if either P is true or Q is true, but not both of them. So the last row is changed to 0, comparing to P or Q. So that's the difference between inclusive OR and exclusive OR. And it's coming to P implication Q. P implies Q. So when is P implies Q false? P implies Q is false when P is true and Q is false. So you can observe that only one row is 0. And is following P biconditional Q. In P biconditional Q, say we can observe that it is a conjunction of P implies Q and Q implies P, right? So it is both of them. So if P, then Q, and if Q, then P. So if both of the propositions are false or if both the propositions are true, then P biconditional Q will be true. So you can observe that for the first row and for the last row, we have the truth value as true. That is, if both the propositions are false or if both the propositions are true, the final result is true. So this is all about the summarized contents for the previous logical connectives that we have seen so far. Let's come to this particular example. This we have got three propositions over here. First proposition P, which states that a circle is conic, and the second proposition Q, which states root phi is a real number, and the third proposition R, which is saying exponential series is convergent. So what we are supposed to do in this particular problem is we are going to express these connectives in terms of words. So the first sub question is we have proposition Q, P, conjunction negation Q. So what is this? So proposition P represents a circle is a conic and negation Q is we are applying not in the given proposition, right? So P and negation Q, what we see in the question is nothing but a circle is a conic and root phi is not a real number. So this is the final answer for the first sub question. Got it? I'll repeat. A circle is a conic and root phi is not a real number. So coming to the second sub question, we have given, the question states negation P or Q. So what is this negation P? We have to negate its meaning. That is, a circle is not a conic and this symbolizes OR. So or root 5 is a real number. So the final answer for the second sub question is a circle is a conic, a circle is not a conic, or root 5 is a real number. Got it? I'll repeat it. A circle is not a conic, or root 5 is a real number. Coming to the third sub question, we have proposition P implies Q XOR R. So implication is the main connective over here. You can observe. So how do we say implies? We can also say it as if then form, right? So if the answer for the third sub question is if a circle is a conic, then either root 5 is a real number or exponential series is convergent, but not both. So this is how we can say for the third sub question. So I repeat. So it comes as if then form for implication, right? So implies is the main connective in between. So implication means you need to have if at the starting and then at the next point. So if a circle is a conic, then either root 5 is a real number or exponential series is convergent, but not both. So I repeat, the answer for the third sub question is if a circle is a conic, then either root 5 is a real number or exponential series is convergent, but not both. So coming to the next fourth sub question, we have negation P by conditional Q. So how do we say this? It comes as if and only if kind of form. So negation P means you are negating its meaning of the first proposition P over here. So a circle is not a conic if and only if root 5 is a real number. So we can also state in this manner. Along with that, we can have the final answer to this question as if a circle is not a conic, then root 5 is a real number, and if root 5 is a real number and then a circle is not a conic. This is because we can write this symbol biconditional as conjunction of the two conditionals. So like if I have P biconditional Q, I can write it equivalently as P implies Q and Q implies P, right? So how can I state this in terms of words? I can write this as a circle. If a circle is a conic, then root 5 is a real number, and if root 5 is a real number, then a circle is conic. So this is how I can write it in terms of words, or else I can write in terms of if and only if form. That is, a circle is a conic, a circle is not a conic if and only if root 5 is a real number, right? So I am just representing this logical connective biconditional by the terms if and only if. That is the equivalent form of this biconditional. So the final answer to this question is you can write it in both ways. That is, if a circle is not a conic, then root 5 is a real number, and if root 5 is a real number, then a circle is not a conic. So this is one answer to this question. Along with that, we can have the equivalent answer for this question, that is, a circle is not a conic if and only if root 5 is a real number. So I hope all the answers to these questions are clear to you and the connectives are already explained in detail. So coming to this question, we have two primitive statements. So we have already discussed what is compound, what is primitive propositions, right? What is simple propositions. Now here the question states the implication of P and Q is false. That is, P implies Q is false. So now given this constraint, it is very clear that the truth value of P is true and the truth value of Q is false in order to get P implies Q as false. So now keep this in mind. So truth value of P is true here, so truth value of Q is false. Okay, now based on these truth values, I need to decide the truth values of all these four sub questions. The first sub question is P and Q. Correct? That is a conjunction, P and Q. So what is P and Q? P truth value is true, Q truth value is false. So what is true and false? True and false is false. So the final answer for the first sub question is false. So coming to the second sub question, we have negation P. That is, negation P is what? P truth value is true, so negation P is false. Or Q truth value is already false, right? So false or false will be false. So the answer for the second sub question is false. So coming to the third sub question, Q implies P. So Q truth value is false, correct? The truth value of P was true. So what is false implies true? False implies true has truth value true. So the answer for the third sub question is true. So see, in order to answer all these questions, you need to have the truth tables of all the logical connectives in mind. So once it is done, it is very easier for you to say it very directly. Okay. So coming to the fourth sub question, we have negation Q implies negation P. So negation Q is, see, you know the truth value of Q is false, the truth value of P is true, right? So negation Q will be true and negation P will be false. So what is true implies false. The result of true implies false is false. Therefore the answer to the fourth sub question is false. So I hope all these things are clear to you. So in this, we have to state the truth values of all three propositions P, Q and R. So let's see what is the first sub question. So this is a constraint given, that is, we have got implication connective and another connective here is what? Inclusive or disjunction. So having these two connectives, you need to observe which is your main connective here. Main connective is implication and your disjunction is within the brackets. So implication is the main connective. So when do we say implies is false? That is what we need to find out. So implication is false when the first proposition, or we can say P is true and Q or R entire thing is false, right? So when do we say Q or R entire thing is false? When both Q and R are false, right? Only then we get the OR connective to be false. So we can decide the truth value of Q and R, right? So what is the truth value of Q and R? Both of them are false or 0 and 0. So what is the truth value of P? P has to be true, right? So the truth value of P is true. Why P has to be true? Because P implies Q or R is false. So implication is false only when the when the left side is true, that is P is true and Q or R is false. Only then we get it as false. So therefore the truth values of P has to be true and Q along with R is false. So the truth values of P, Q and R are 1, 0, 0. So coming to the next one, that is P and Q implies R is true. They have given P and Q implies R is true. So when do we have P and Q implies R is true? When do we have, so before that, we need to observe the connectives. So which are the connectives? Conjunction and implication, correct? So conjunction and implication, which is the main connective here? Conjunction. So when does conjunction turns to be true? When both of them are true, right? So when P is true and Q implies R is true. So now it is very clear, the truth value of P is true itself, right? The truth value of P is 1. And what about Q implies R? So this entire thing has to be true, right? In order for it to be true. So Q implies R when it is true. Q implies R is true in 3 cases except the 4th case, that is true, false, false, right? So apart from that, you can observe P is all true. See the table, look at the table. So P is said to be true, right? We have fixed that. And following that, Q implies R. When is Q implies R true? So observe the table over here. So Q, the set of values for Q and set of values for R. You can observe 1, 1. 1 implies 1. Yes, it is true. 0 implies 1. It is true. 0 implies 0. It is true. Right? For all these possible combinations of Q and R, Q implies R is true. So therefore, only then we can have the constraint for the given question satisfied. So for these possible, this table shows all possible set of values for which the second question is satisfied. So here I have given some of the problems related to assignment 1.1. So it is students, it's your duty to solve these problems based on whatever concepts are told in the online classes plus what is already told here in this presentations. So all these problems, whatever I give here in the assignment, are related to whatever I have already presented, and it is these are all similar problems. So it is much easier for you to solve these problems, and I will be checking all these assignment answers during the assignment sessions. So here in this assignment 1.1, the first problem is related to finding the truth values based on whatever data is given constraint. So I think this is not a big difficult problem. This is not a difficult problem at all. So coming to second one, that is you need to just construct the truth table. So here how many primitives you have got? PQR. So for these primitives, you first construct the all possible combinations for the three primitives or propositions, and then you find out which is different. For example, in the first subsection of the second problem, the question says P and Q implies negation R. So first construct P, Q, R columns. That is for write all the possible rows for the three primitives. Then construct another column, that is negation R. Right. So negation R. So write down all those values for all the rows. Then you construct P and Q. That is the problem, right? So P and Q, one entire column. Next, finally, P and Q implies negation R. That is the next column. So like that, complete the entire truth table. So these kind of problems are much more easier. So coming to this problem, here the third problem is related to just finding the negation. First you have to negate each of the following. For example, I give some example related to this question, related to the third question. Say for example, you have to negate the statement Sheila is in Bangalore. So how would you negate the statement? Sheila is not in Bangalore. So you have to just use the word not in the required place. Okay, the third question is somewhat easier. So coming to the fourth question, you need to state which of the following are propositions. So you know what is a proposition. I have given detailed description or as well as detailed presentations related to propositions along with the example problems. So this is somewhat similar. You need to check out whether it is a statement and whether it is a proposition finally, right? So for example, if I have the statement push the door. So is this a statement? First of all, push the door, it's like a command. It's a kind of, you list out what kind of sentence it is. So it's like a command or order or request. All these comes under imperative sentence. So as such, you know the statement definition. The statement is just a declarative sentence. It is not any of the other type of sentences that we have seen so far. So push the door, it's like a command. It is not a statement at all. So when it is not a statement, obviously it is not a proposition. So this kind of example I have just listed so that you solve these problems once again very clearly. So next, coming to the fifth problem. In the fifth problem, you're going to indicate the truth values. So, first, for the first problem, I'll just tell you how you need to solve this. For the first problem, if it is of the form if and then, if you observe, if 3 plus 4 equals 5, then 4 plus 6 is 10. So first here I have to check whether 3 plus 4 equal to 5, is it true or is it false? So yes, 3 plus 4 equal to 5 is the correct answer. That means the if clause is true. So what about the then effect clause? So if effect clause, that is 4 plus 6 equal to 10. So that value also is true. So when the first antecedent as well as consequent, both of them are true, then the implication will result in true. So this is how you can solve the fifth kind of problem. So this kind of problem is easier. So here a constraint is given, that is the truth value for the entire compound proposition is given to be false. So when it is false, first you observe the main logical connective, that is implication, right? So when does implication turns to be false? When the first portion is true and the second portion is false, right? That is when P and Q and R is true and then S or T is false, right? Only then we have the entire thing as false. Then solve it step by step in a tree, in a bottom like fashion, and then complete the truth values for all of the primitives of proposition stated here. Let's see the question, that is if a proposition Q has got truth value 1, you need to determine all the truth values of the assignments for the primitive proposition P, R and S, right? So we need to find out the truth value for P, R and S given the truth value of Q as true. That is Q has got truth value 1. That is what is written. See, but you need not write all these things in symbols. You need to write it in terms of words. Since Q has truth value true, you need to write like that. And we need to find out the truth value of P, R and S. And also the constraint given is the truth value for this entire compound proposition. This is the entire compound proposition given. The truth value of this entire thing is 1. So in order for this entire compound proposition to be 1, we have the logical connective here and since we have got and logical connective, this component has to be true and this entire component also has to be true. You need to write it in words. So this component means Q implies negation P or R and negation S has to be true, and also negation S implies negation R and Q also has to be true in order for the entire compound proposition to be true. And then, so after writing this, you can write it in terms of words like this. So since Q is given as truth value 1 and this entire component, let me say it as U, and this entire component is also 1. So what is the main logical connective? Implication. So when does implies turn to be 1 or turn to be true? It happens in 3 cases as you have observed in the truth table. So except for one case, that is when 1 implies 0, we do not get the truth value of the entire proposition as 1, right? So the rest for all the rows we get it as 1. So this component has to be true. That is negation P or R and negation S has to be true in order for this entire U to be true. So like that you need to write it in words. Okay, so then this has to be true. That is what is stated, right? Now we need to find out what is P, what is the truth value of R, what is the truth value of S also, correct? Yeah. So now since this entire component has the truth value 1 and we have conjunction as the logical connective main here, both the components, this one as well as this one, also has to be true. So this has to be true and this also, negation S should also have the truth value 1. Since negation S has truth value 1, we can conclude that S has truth value 0, right? So S has truth value 0. Therefore, we found out one truth value of one primitive, correct? remaining we need to check with the other component. So let's say this is the other component B. Okay, now we can substitute negation S value over here, is it not? So negation S has truth value 1. So like that you can write it in words. Like since V has truth value 1 and also negation S has truth value. What is negation S truth value? Negation S has truth value 1. So see, since V is also 1 and negation S has truth value 1 and we have the main connector here implies. So when is implies true? Implies is true in all other cases except 0, correct? So this entire thing is 1. Negation R and Q is 1. So since negation R and Q has to be 1, it is a conjunction connective. Negation R has to be true and Q also has to be true. And Q is true, that we already know as per the question. So negation R is one more component. Negation R has to be true. Or in other words, R has the truth value false. So far we found out the truth value of the two components, right? So we have found out the truth value of S. We have found out the truth value of R. What about P? Now where is P? P is located here, is it not? So now we shall substitute the values of both R and S over here and find out the truth value of P. So in this particular line or for this line, so we know the value of truth value of R. The truth value of R is 0. The truth value of negation S is, what is the truth value of negation S? 1. Correct? And we know that the truth value of this entire thing has to be 1. So since this has to be 1, these two components are true, correct? As per what we have written now. So this has to be true and this also has to be true for this entire thing to be true. So since this has to be true, we know R is already 0. So negation P has to be 1 in order for this to be true, right? This has to be 1 because this is already 0. We have found out from the previous components. So this has to be true. Negation P has to be true. Or in other words, P has truth value 0. Correct? So now we have already found out the truth value of all three primitives. So like that you need to substitute the values whatever you get in different components and find out the truth value of the propositions or primitives. So coming to the next question, you need to indicate how many rows are needed for the truth table for this entire compound proposition. This is a compound proposition is given. You can observe. We need to find out the number of rows. So number of rows are dependent upon the number of primitives, right? So if there are two primitives as I've written here, two primitives means how many rows we will get? How many different combinations? 2 raised to 2, right? Or 4 rows. So now if there are 5 such primitives, so it will be 2 raised to 5 or 32 rows, is it not? So that's what, since we have got 5 primitives over here, P, Q, R, S and T. So there are 5 columns and based on the different possible combinations for these primitives, we get 2 raised to 5, that is 32 rows, right? So next, they have asked you to find out the truth value for this proposition if P and R are true. That is, the truth value of P is given to be true. The truth value of R is given to be true. But what is given here? It's not R. It is negation R. So negation R has truth value 0. Correct? Yes. So next, Q, S and T are false. So Q has truth value false. That is what they've given. But what is negation Q? Negation Q will have truth value 1. Correct? And so therefore, can't we say what is the truth value of this component? What will be P or negation Q? P or negation Q will have truth value 1. Correct? And then we know negation R has truth value 0. And S also has truth value 0. So what will be negation R and S truth value? Since it is a conjunction, both are false. It has truth value 0. And then T is given to have the truth value false. So therefore the truth value for this component is, that is this entire component, see this is 0, right, as we have told. 0 implies 0 and implies is a connective. What is 0 implies 0? T has truth value 0, right? That's why I am writing 0 here. And this also has truth value 0. So 0 implies 0 will have truth value 1. So this entire component has truth value 1. And similarly, P or negation Q, this one has truth value 1. So now what is the truth value for 1 biconditional 1? That is what we have got, right? Truth value of this is 1. Biconditional truth value of this is also 1. So biconditional 1 biconditional 1 or 0 biconditional 0 will have truth value 1. Correct? So therefore the truth value for this entire proposition is 1. So this is the answer. So we need to write all these different combinations, whatever I write here, in terms of words, not symbols, in terms of words. Okay. Since this is this, therefore negation Q will be this, and therefore this particular component will have truth value is this. And then for this one, S is this, S has truth value this. Therefore what will be negation R? Negation R has truth value so much, and therefore this implies total truth value has got this particular truth value, and therefore the entire compound proposition has truth value so much. So that, like this you need to write it in words, not symbols. Is it clear? I hope all these problems are clear to you.